Hi everyone. Today we are discussing word problems with these linear systems of equations. So our goal is going to create one equation related to the quantity and one equation related to a cost value. So let's start. We're going to go through several of these and see what equations we come up with. So for example one, we want to separate quantity and price. Kevin wants to buy 10 bouquets. Standard bouquet costs $7. A deluxe bouquet costs $12. He can only afford to spend $100. How many of each type can he buy? So let's pick some variables here. Um, since we're talking about standard and deluxe, we are not limited to X and Y. We could actually pick the letter S for standard and D for deluxe. Okay, they have some meaning to us. Okay, and now we want to know, well, can we create a cost equation here? I know that for every standard bouquet, it says up here that it's $7. So that's $7 times every standard, plus over here for deluxe, it's $12 for every deluxe, and he has $100. We can't go over $100. So that's the first equation. The second equation I need to know is quantity. Now it says up here that he wants to buy 10 bouquets. So that means the combination of standard and deluxe, S plus D, is equal to 10. So you can see we have one equation by quantity and one by cost. Okay, these are our equations. So now we can go in and solve. You have a choice that you could either use the calculator or you could use substitution. And when you use either one, then you get a solution of 4, 6. That means he can have 4 standard bouquets and 6 deluxe bouquets. All right, so what does it look like if we solve this in Desmos using our graphing? Now, in Desmos, I cannot use S and D. I have to use X and Y. Okay, so when I go over to Desmos, I'm just going to make all my S's the X and all my D's the Y's. So you can see I did X plus Y equals 10 and 7X plus 12Y equals 100. And remember where they intersect here was at this point 4, 6. 4 standard, 6 deluxe, because the X stood for standard and Y stood for deluxe. So what we're doing today, we're going to worry about setting up the equation, and then I want everybody using Desmos to actually solve your equations out. Okay, there will be some that we don't, and we'll explain that in a minute. Okay, example 2. An algebra test contains 38 problems. Some of the problems are 2 points, the rest are 3 points. A perfect score is 100. How many problems are worth 2 points and how many problems are worth 3 points? Okay, so just like before, we're going to pick some variables. This time I'm just going to stick with X and Y. X meaning the 2-point questions and Y the 3-point questions. Okay, so we need a quantity equation. Okay, the total number of problems on the test is 38. So when I take the 2-point questions and add the 3-point questions, that gives me a total of 38 questions or problems. Okay, now we're going to talk about points. So not cost here, but points. So because each of the 2-point questions go with X, that would give us 2X. The 3-point questions go with Y, that gives me 3Y. And the total points on the test is 100. Okay, I would take these exact equations, go to Desmos, plug it in. Okay, we could do calculator or substitution this time, but I would go to the calculator over on Desmos, and it tells me my solution is 14 and 24. And that means that I have 14 of the 2-point questions, because that's in the X column, and 24 of the 3-point questions because that is in the Y column. So our biggest goal here is to create these two equations. You guys can use the calculator to actually get your answers. Okay, so let's try a different one. Ashley has $9.05 in dimes and nickels. If she has a total of 108 coins, how many of each type does she have? Okay, so once again, I'm going to stick with my XY. I'm going to call X dimes and Y nickels. So that means dimes plus nickels, X plus Y equals 108 total coins. And now we have to deal with the dollars. Because a dime is 10 cents, 0.10x, and a nickel is 5 cents, 0.05y equals the $9.05. So this equation is all about the dollar value. Okay, so what could we do here? We could go to substitution. However, with this one, we could also go to the calculator. Okay, we could also go to the calculator. We would just have to zoom out. Okay, you would just have to zoom out to find your answer, because you can see your answer is 73 and 35. So that means when you're on the Desmos screen, you would definitely have to zoom out so that you could see that line. So 73 dimes and 35 nickels. Okay, this one's a little different. We're talking about percentage. So a total of $10,000 is invested in two funds, A and B. Fund A is 5%, Fund B is 7%. The combined is $630. How much of that $10,000 is invested in each one? Okay, so just like before, we have to go find some variables. Since they're using Fund A and Fund B, I'm just going to use variables A and B this time. Our equation for quantity, okay, quantity here is A plus B equals 10,000, meaning the total amount that is going in each one. Okay, but here is the percentage breakdown for interest. So equation 1 was how much money I'm actually giving you to put in that fund, and equation 2 is what's happening to it. So since Fund A went with 5%, we have 0.05A, not 5A, but 0.05A. That's how you convert a percentage. Okay, 7% for Fund B, so 0.07B equals interest here, 630. Okay, so this one is a little more detailed. Okay, now you could go in and do substitution, okay, to see what happens. Here's why. When I come out with my answer, look how large these numbers are, 6,500 and 3,500. So if you were in Desmos trying to find that answer, it's going to take you a long time zooming out. So if you're not finding your answer when you go into Desmos, then your last set is either to just keep doing it until you eventually find it, or come over here and do substitution. Okay, example 5, this is a combined quantity price. So a group of 3 adults and 10 students paid $102 for a tour. Another group of 3 adults and 7 students paid $84 for the same tour. They want to know what is the admission price for an adult ticket and what is the admission price for a student ticket. Okay, so we're dealing with adults and student, so we're going to just pick A and S here. So our first equation, this is different, that's why it's starred up here, because we now have prices. Okay, so 3 adults and 10 students paid $102 for the tour. So 3 adults plus 10 students equals $102. Okay. All right, equation 2 said 3 adults and 7 students paid $84. 3 adults plus 7 students equals $84. So that's why I called this combined quantity and price, because basically you're doing that second equation for each group here. If these are our two equations, now we can just go in and solve, and what we will find is we have 14 adult tickets $14 for an adult ticket and $6 for a student ticket. And you could put this straight into Desmos and it would find the answer for you. Okay, so this is also an extension question. It says we need to rent a large truck for 1 week. Rental companies charge an initial cost plus an additional cost for each mile. One company will rent a 27-foot truck for $525 plus 21 cents per mile. A second company will rent the same truck for $585 plus 13 cents per mile. So just like the one before where we've got a combination, we have the same type thing here. So we're going to use X for miles and Y for cost. Okay, so in our first example, it said 525 plus 21 cents a mile. So 525 plus 21 cents per mile, 0.21x, 20.21 times x. Okay, so that is our equation here. Same thing for the second company. And we find out they were 585 plus 13 cents per mile. Okay, so they're saying that the best method here would have been substitution. Let's find out. Here our answer was 750 and 682.5. So even though these were higher numbers, I probably could have found this one on Desmos. I would have to have zoomed out for a while, a long while, but you can eventually find that. Okay, otherwise you just use your substitution method. All right, example 8, the sum of two numbers is 112. The smaller is 58 less than the greater. Find the two numbers. All right, so we're just going to call the first number a smaller number X and the larger number Y. So when I add the two numbers together, it says the sum of the numbers, we get 112. And it said that the smaller is 58 less than the greater. The smaller is, okay, X equals, X is, okay, 58 less than, so I have to subtract from the larger number. So that's how this is set up. All right, you could go straight into the calculator or substitution for this. All right, and we end up with the smaller number being 27 and the larger number being 85. All right, example 9 is about ages. The sum of the ages of Ryan and his father is 66. His father's 10 years more than 3 times as old as Ryan. So how old are Ryan and his father? So let's let X be Ryan's age, Y be his dad's age. So together they are 66. So X plus Y equals 66. Now it's the second equation you have to watch out for, because it says that his father is Y equals, okay, 10 years more than, so that's where the plus 10 comes in, 3 times Ryan, 3x. So 3x plus 10. Okay, go straight in substitution or go into Desmos. Either one will work fine. And you find out that Ryan's age is 14 and Dad's age is 52. Okay, so watch your variables, watch your wording, and remember, once you find your two equations, just go straight to the Desmos calculator, or you can use substitution to get your solutions.